Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? You know you like that. 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 What? You know you like that. Come on. You know you like that.
Welcome to Live It Out Inc. Thursday segment on mental healing 2022. That is our focus for this year. Want you guys to come on, click like, click share, subscribe to our YouTube page, and join us tonight in another epic topic on healing our whole bodies, mind, body, and soul. So come on in, throw your L's up, ladies, gentlemen. I want you to get all your girlfriends, tag all your girlfriends, all your queens, your fellow queens, your fellow sisters, your man, everybody. Tonight is going to be epic. The subject we're touching tonight is going to be, oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Remember, our focus is to heal, to educate our community, our family, our friends, all on being mentally healthy. We are anti-suicide organization, nonprofit organization, and we focus on anti-suicide. We focus on mental health, emotional well-being, and just living your best life. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. Tonight, our topic is your vagina depressed? So if you're already logged on, just give me, well, do you think your vagina can be depressed? If you think it can, say yes. If you think it can't, say no. If you're not sure, just give me, I don't know. I'm not sure. So we're going to talk to one of my fellow queens who has been in this business. She does vaginal steaming. Not only that, she is a behavior therapist. Well, she can introduce herself. Let me not give it all away. But I want you guys to just sit back, relax. We're going to get some vital information when it comes to our personal parts, our vagina. It's a conversation that we don't really have out openly. But tonight, we're going to change the narrative. We're going to talk about our most precious possessions, our most precious part of our body. And we're going to get this thing going. Without further ado, I want to bring from backstage, Miss Naima.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Janice. I love your platform. We would talk in our former lives when I worked at Shelter in Arms many times about mental health of the children, of the families and things. I learned a lot from Janice and absolutely respect her. So thank you for allowing me to be on your show today. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So just look, Naima, tell them a little bit about yourself for the ones that don't know you. Just tell them about a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I am a behavior specialist working with children, honestly, birth to 5 years old. In my more recent life, I work working with children with autism and helping professionals in the community work with children with autism. But outside of that, I am a certified holistic birth doula, which that kind of opened my eyes to everything. I support women in the birthing space. And that was when I realized that these women were giving birth, but some of them had sexual trauma and birth trauma, which made the births take longer. You know, they didn't feel comfortable. I mean, again, you're birthing, like taking their clothes off and things. And I honestly didn't understand it. So I had to take some coursework and some research, and that just opened Pandora's box for me. Now I'm really a women's reproductive advocate. I'm working on a reproductive intelligence class so that women have a better understanding of their body. Yeah, when that's done, I'll let you know. But have a better understanding of their bodies and what your body does and what information you can get from your body. Basic information like you really can't get pregnant all the time. There's only a certain time of the month where you honestly can get pregnant and you can avoid pregnancy and things like that. So anyway, when that happens, I'll let you know. But just really give you
where were you back in the day when I needed all this guidance?
I know, right? Me too, though. I'm like, why do I know it now? And I'm good with everything. But
exactly.
So that led me into vaginal steaming. And so a personal story, to be honest, I was doing my doula work, but I actually had fibroids.
Oh, okay.
So, and that was affecting my cycle, not trying to get too deep with it, but it was affecting my cycle. And my doctor actually said, because they were small, that, once a month, I just need to do, this was her medical advice. I could get some Depends because now they have cute styles.
Oh. Okay.
And I told her in the stirrups, I'm too sexy to be doing that already.
Okay.
And she just looked at me like, okay, well, I don't want you to have surgery, which I appreciate. Hi, Adrian. I appreciate you don't want me to have surgery and go under the knife. Thank you. Hey, Miss Turnbull, all the teachers. But that's not going to work for me in my lifestyle, but she'll get a little more understanding of what that is. So a friend of mine actually told me that I could, alternatives, and I could sit over a pot of herbs. And I was real like, I don't know anything about that. It was real shoo poo poo. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Until I was at work one day and actually messed up my clothes and couldn't leave the building until about 6:45. Then I said, okay, so tell me about this. I have to sit over what now? So I found somebody, and it took about, I'd say 5 to 6 months, but I could tell that my cycles were different. I can tell that I was feeling different, like the cramping and stuff I was experiencing went away. So I went to get an ultrasound just to see, like, is it my mind, or did they really like shrink? Something must have happened. And so when I went back to the doctor, sure enough, when she did the ultrasound, she said the machine must be broke. And I again, just because of who I am, in stirrups, because whatever.
Yeah.
What you're trying to tell me is my vagina broke your machine? Is that what you're trying to? I just need to know. So when I'm out talking to people with my resume, I just need to know what I need to add to that. Because if that's what I'm doing, I need to be a little bit more choosy with my life.
Exactly.
I don't see them. So I said, well, is it possible they went away? She's like, well, what have you been doing? And when I told her, she was just completely, she got red. Now, this was an African-American woman. She got red in the face. She was appalled that I said it. But I said, but you don't see them. And again, I love to think that I broke your machine, but I don't think I did.
Yeah.
So that was my proof that they had gone away, but I could tell because my cycles they went back to normal.
Oh, wow.
So that honestly was when I said, okay, so I need to figure this out. Like, how I need to learn more, because and I felt silly doing it, but at the same time, I didn't want my cycles to get, but it took a little while. But after that time period, again, the ultrasound machine showed that they weren't there.
Oh, wow.
So then I actually took courses. I took courses with Steaming Chick, which is online. And then when I worked at Hey Honey Spa, which is on Butner Road, y'all, 3220 Butner Road. It's a holistic spa, but they do vaginal steaming. So if you're a little nervous to do it in your house and you want a whole experience, I would go to Hey Honey Spa. And I took her course, and it gave me even more information. Tracy Bryant Swint owns it, and she does a course. And so I took her course working there, and then I knew even more. So I take on private clients, and I steam myself now as part of my own personal regimen.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Now, I had fibroids too, but this was back in the day before we knew about vaginal steaming and all of that. And those fibroids, I'm telling you, if you have not experienced them, then God bless you, because the way it affected my cycle was like I had a cycle for a whole year and then some.
And I mean, it was bad. It was heavy. Exactly.
Yeah, so some weeks, some days it would be extremely heavy. It would be really well. You had when I was taking a change of clothes to work, I was wearing all black, in fear that I was gonna mess up my clothes, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. The doctors was not really talking to me, telling me that because I was young. I didn't really have the insurance at the time. I was going to Grady, so they was just like, it's just make your cycle's irregular, just do this, do. And I was like, no, this is not okay. I'm not supposed to bleed like this forever. I'm gonna faint from loss of blood because I'm bleeding today.
And mine were quote unquote small, and I was like, if they grow, it's over with. I mean, that's how I was thinking. Like, I need to do something because right now, if they're this small and it's causing this much havoc, God forbid they get bigger. I'm gonna pass out or fall out or so I had to do something.
And then not only that, so if you're bleeding every day of the week, all year long, it's fatigue, it's mentally stress on you, it's lack of sex. So now it's affecting the relationship and everything. And I finally went to a doctor in the West End in that little clinic over there.
Yeah.
And she felt so sorry for me. She said, I'm so sorry. No. I went to Grady. I went back to Grady again.
Okay.
It was, I think it might have been on a Thanksgiving night. We did everything we was gonna do, and I was telling my mom I need to go to the hospital. I want to go to the hospital, and they dropped me off. And I went into that hospital room, and I told that lady, I said, I won't stop bleeding. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where it's coming from, but I won't stop bleeding, to the fact that when I took my clothes off, and I'm sharing this with y'all because women need to hear this.
No, you're right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
When I took my clothes off, the blood just, was just coming out of me. And that lady, and she was a Caucasian lady, she was like, she said, I'm so sorry you're going through this. She said, I am so sorry you're going through this. She said, let's get you cleaned up and let's see what's going on. That's when she told me I had fibroids. That's when I had first even heard of what fibroids were.
I mean, knew what that. See, all that time you didn't even know what it was.
I didn't know. I thought my cycle was just off. I didn't know. I was like, oh, I don't know what this is. And she said, you have bleeding fibroids. So after she did what she did, she told me to follow up with my primary care physician.
Okay.
So at that time, this lady was in the West End. And she said, well, what I'm going to do is, and this was a sister, she said, I'm going to give you some birth control pills. And I'm like, oh.
I know.
Okay. So she gave me the birth control pills, and it kind of regulated my cycle. It did. It started kind of regulating a little bit. But then I went a whole year and a half without having a cycle.
Wow.
So now I'm like, in one sense, you be like, yay.
I know, but then you're like, wait a minute.
See, but I'm in my 30s. I was in my 30s, so I knew now this ain't right either. I'm glad I'm not bleeding, but this still is not right.
And so that's what they recommend a lot of times, is the birth control pill as a blanket remedy for everything.
And that's what they did. And the birth control pills did help. It did help regulate my cycle. But I went through and I suffered in silence. I didn't tell nobody.
We never do.
And like I'm saying, I played it off like I was just a big Janet Jackson fan and wore all black, everything every day. I had like 50 pair of black pants. I wore net, and I'm still like wear black and white today, but not because of the fibroids. Because black's supposed to make you look slimmer, so that's why I wear black now. But back then, I was really wearing it with the fibroids. That's one thing we deal with when it comes to our vagina. But getting back onto the part where we talking about, do we think our vagina is depressed? Yeah. Some people say yes. Some people say they didn't know, they didn't think so. Have you ever heard of this thing? It's called sexual interest arousal disorder.
Yes.
This was new to me. I had never heard of it, but I knew we was gonna have this conversation, and I said, let me see let me see what some things that's going on with the vagina that I can ask Naima about. Came up on this sexual interest arousal disorder, and I was like, what? Okay. So then it would start telling me that you just have no interest in no type of sexual activity or nothing, not even masturbation or none of that. But while reading this, and this is what I want to ask you.
Okay.
How important is masturbation when you're trying to have a healthy vagina? Not even to the self pleasure
Right.
or just trying to please yourself and the toys and all of that. But this thing started talking about masturbation. It was like it's a healthy thing to do to keep a healthy vagina. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's one more than anything is just having a good relationship with yourself first.
Okay.
Just knowing what makes you do what you need to be doing, and
Okay.
you just honestly having a connection with yourself. Because you got to connect with yourself first before you can invite other people to know what they need to do to help you get to where you need to get to. You have to have a relationship with yourself first, if that makes sense.
It does now, but back then it did. It
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense now.
yeah, you know, and it, you know, certain people, you know, like that disorder. I found out about it a few years ago, and there are some people who just, and it's, you know, chemical and psychological, but they don't, they're not able to recognize pleasure or get that pleasure, which is a horrible way to live.
Yeah, okay. Now see, this sparks my other question, even on top of that, because as I was reading this, it was talking about never having being able to reach the orgasm. So that's part of your vagina being suppressed or depressed because you're not able to reach that orgasm. Now,
Correct.
talk
Correct.
to me about the orgasm because women don't get them. You don't get them every time.
I mean, if you know your body, you can.
Okay, all right.
You know your body, you can't. That's why sometimes sometimes women sometimes need to try to pleasure themselves first to kind of see what is it taking, what is it, you know, what is it. It can be so many things, again, mental, you know, your partner. You know, a lot of women need that warm up time. Like
Yeah,
foreplay is real for women. Men, you know, they think about it halfway, they gonna be all right most times. But for us, it's so much more psychological. So
yes,
we
it is.
need the petting, we need the tenders, we need. And now I'm not gonna say that every once in a while I don't want you to just turn around and do what you need to do because you
Yeah,
already know.
yeah, let's get it
But
popping. We ain't got time for all that. The
right,
cooking.
sometimes I get it, I get it, I get it. But at least when you're starting a relationship or as you're going through, there's got to be some of that as well. Once
Exactly.
we know each other, once I know right here is going to get it, then okay, all bets are off. Let's go. You know, but in the beginning, you know, you really have to nurture that, and you need to know what you need. You need to be able to tell people and express what you need, like
Oh,
what needs to happen. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just my mind's going. Yeah,
look, I'm right with you. I'm right with you.
no, because so right now I'm single. I'm single. And you know, during the pandemic, you know, dating, you know, it's been hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I met this young boy. Cougar. Yeah, listen,
You too, man.
if you know, you know. Okay. If you know Naima, just roll with it. All right. If you don't know, now you know. And you know, it's funny because at first I'm like, we've been talking for a while, so I'm like, you know, all right, it's been a minute, you know, let's see. And like, you know, I was trying to tell him stuff and he just knew what to do.
Yeah.
He just knew what to do. Now, I'll be honest, he flipped me a couple times. I said, well, first of all, baby, we're not doing romper room. Like, I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. But I can't keep rolling around like this. I'm going to get dizzy. That's exactly how I said it. And he looked at me just like you did. But it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. And he afterwards he was like, okay, all right. I was like, yeah, okay. Once we kind of got on the same page, stopped playing on the monkey bars, everything was, everything was okay. But you got to be able, again, you got to be able to say it and express it. And, like I said, now it's going to be, I can't keep going, doing loop the loops now.
Exactly. I'm
getting my equilibrium not the same. And, so let's come to understand it real quick. What are we doing now? What are we doing? I be stretching. You'd be surprised, but I need to know where we're doing.
I need to know where we're going with this. Yes.
Where are we going with this? What are we doing? So, but you have to be comfortable with yourself to be able to do that.
Exactly. I agree. The other thing I wanted to kind of touch on was anxiety and depression can lower the sex drive, the sex interest. Yes, so talk about that. Let's talk about that a little bit when we're out, and it's just so much. It's so much, and I know we ain't gonna have time to cover everything.
I know, but if you think about it, if you're anxious, if you're constantly in that state of, that it's not even worry, it's more than that heightened, just, I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's hard to think about sex because you everything, especially during this pandemic. Now I'll be honest, as a birth doula, I had my best year last year because everybody was home.
They wanted to be home.
was having babies. But you heard about that, and there was like a mini baby boom. But on the other side of that, I definitely had some friends who were just so worried about the virus. And some people's work got affected, depending on what industry you were in. So I definitely was hearing a lot more conversations of people just, the uncertainty. It's hard to be aroused or think about sex if you're not sure about your home and finances and
exactly.
And people are dying, so it's a weird, like I said, there was a slight baby boom, but I definitely knew people who they definitely, like, I have a few friends where their relationships kind of got rocky because then we both home all the time. Like, I need you to go to a building. Why are you home?
Yeah.
Like
for an hour or two.
Right. So some people's relationships really got tested because I'm upstairs, you downstairs, but we both got to eat lunch at the same time in the kitchen. Like,
yeah,
some of that and being around each other so much. So with all those things going on, and depending on if you knew people who passed away.
Yeah.
So that anxiety, it's hard to, be sexual or think about it if you have all that going on in your head too. And like I said, during the pandemic, if you lost income or your work was unsteady or or it was the same. I work from home all the time, but some people, that was a new experience. People coming to the Zoom meetings with no pants on, forgetting that they only have on the work top and they stand up. There was a couple meetings I was in where they flashed people. Everybody else was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, it's just a Tuesday. Okay. Because, so all of those factors make it hard to connect sometimes.
Another thing they said that I was reading about, it was like the medication that we take that can mess with our
side effects.
Yeah.
Now, believe it or not, some of the birth control, believe it or not, that's one way to control birth. You're not in the mood, but some of those side effects, if you ever open up the whole birth, like, you get your little pills, but if you open up those side effects are almost poster size if you unravel them.
Okay.
There's a lot. And to be honest, I was on, and I'll be honest, I can't remember which one it was, but I switched for some reason. My doctor wanted me to switch. And it was the first time that I was on birth control and I was not in my right mind. I wasn't on it very long. I was at Shelter in Arms. And people would ask me, do you feel good? And I'd be like, no. And they'd be like, they didn't know what to do. They're like, the disability mental health person don't feel good. Get out the way. They were just the craziest thing I did, though, at that time, I had a boyfriend. And he forgot to take out the garbage. Do you know I changed the locks on him?
Oh, wow.
I changed the
What's the garbage can?
and he said, Naima, the key don't work. I said, that's right, because you forgot to take out the garbage. He said, okay. He said, did you change the? Yes, you forgot to take out the garbage. He was like, oh, but he's the one who was like a couple days later, because he knew not to say it then. He was like, so I know you switched birth controls. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, so those may not be working for you.
Yeah.
He was like, well, my bad. I did not take out that trash.
Yeah.
He's like, but you changed the locks. I was like, oh, that was a little drastic. He's like, some would say so. Like, we didn't make it. He was in that moment. He really was trying to talk to me in a way he thought I could hear him. He's like, some might say that was a little tasty. I was like, oh, maybe I should go back to the doctor. He's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Look, and the doctor did say, she was like, oh, you were definitely one of those people who was affected.
Exactly. But they say we should ask our doctors. It was high blood pressure, diabetes. It was what else was? It was another. I can't think of it, but whatever. It was another one. Even when you're having cancer, people that take medication for cancer, prostate stuff, like that we should ask about the vaginal side effects. Well, not with the prostate cancer, because that comes in me.
Right.
But some of the medication that we're on for high blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol and other things, that those things do have a vaginal side effect that can decrease the sex drive. So we have to be in tune, like you said, knowing ourselves and being able to ask our doctors those questions when they prescribe us with these medications.
I was going to say, and when you feel different, like just being more in tune with how your body feels, because you know when you feel good and when you don't. And even if you're taking medication, if you're not feeling like yourself, they still, you need to bring it up. You need to talk about it. Like, I'm not feeling like myself. Being an advocate for yourself is important.
Okay, so another question. So we know that masturbation is good for, in a sense, but what happens to our bodies if we choose to just stop having sex? And this is not a biblical question,
right?
For us who waiting on the Lord to send us. I'm not talking about those people. I'm just talking about in natural life, in carnal sense. For people that are been sexually active and now you like, hey, I don't feel like doing it. I want to do it. Getting into that, like women that, and I'm gonna share this with y'all. I had a friend that had breast cancer and was going through the chemo. However, her husband did not understand what was going on with her. He knew she was sick, knew she was going through chemo. Well, she's a survivor, she's good and healthy and all that now, so I don't mind talking about it. So at the time when she was going through this, she was pushing her husband away.
Right.
Not because she didn't love him, not because she didn't want to be with him, because she did not know how to tell him that, hey, my body is not the same right now. My body is full of this medication. Yeah. I don't have the urge to for you to even keep me on my cheeks. Right. I don't even want to be touched. So it got to a point where they were like on rocky ground. It was about to be over, and he was like, I don't want to do this no more. We're not connected or whatever. And I said to her, I said, take him to the doctor with you. Let the doctor explain to him what's going on with your body.
That was perfect.
Because all we're going to say is, don't touch me. I don't feel like it. No, we're going to give it that. But if he can hear medically what's going on with you, as well as mentally what's going on with you, then it could probably save your relationship or your marriage. And it did. For her, it worked, because once he went to the doctor with her, he cried like a newborn baby. And he was like, I did not know that you were going through all of that. because we don't share that with our partners.
And we have to. They need to know so that they have a better understanding. Because he probably, in his mind, he's probably thinking that's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah,
You know, in
they
his
think that
mind.
they're just supposed to seal the deal.
Right, right. And so without that information and without that knowledge, he's trying to do what he thinks. I'm a husband, you're not feeling well. All right, I know what's gonna make it. You should make it go.
Yeah,
So, when things change, we have to be more vocal. And
exactly.
I know in some situations we think, oh, they're men, they're not gonna understand. But you'd be surprised once you open your mouth and communicate. They may even surprise you. If you have that real union, for them just to understand and you sharing that information, they may honestly surprise you. Like he did. He had no idea. And,
He
and
had
once
no
he got the
idea.
information, he completely was like, oh, I get it now.
But and I'm glad that he did. I told you need to tell your homeboys when they woman tripping like that,
Yes.
something could be going on with her body. And the
Yes.
same thing with men. And they won't share. Erectile dysfunction is at an all-time high. Just look at the commercials. That's all you see on TV.
Oh yeah, they got some new thing where it's real discreet, where you just let them know. They send you like a brown box. Right. They make with no fanfare. Like, we know what you need. I was like, oh wow, okay. Just a brown box. You know what's in there.
We know what's in there, but men are not. They're not talking about it when they don't have the desire. And I don't know if it's a ego thing. I'm a man. I'm supposed to provide the pleasure and all of that. I'm not telling you that I'm not able to perform. I don't know. So they find reasons to shy away from vaginal steaming right quick before we run out of time.
Okay.
Now I know that you guys. I was reading that it came from China.
So that is so Gwyneth Paltrow. A few years ago, I can't remember when. She it's always been around. A lot of indigenous societies use vaginal steaming. They actually use it also after the baby is born to kind of, everyone wants that snap back. So most people the outside of the body. That's the internal snap back is to steam to get everything. So I'll explain that in a minute. But she kind of made it popular and people started asking about it. But a lot of indigenous cultures, women in China have been doing it forever. Jeju does it now. I haven't been to Jeju to do it, but I heard it's a little hot. Like it's supposed to be hot, but it's not supposed to burn your stuff off. I heard it's a little hot. I don't know for sure. I haven't been yet, but a lot of indigenous cultures do it. But it's very relaxing, believe it or not, because you've got pores down there. We don't think about it all the time, but it's very absorbent pores. I know, some of the herbs that we use, like lavender is a good one if you just want something just really relaxing. It really does do a release. It's very relaxing. At the spa, we definitely look at it a way of, we don't pay enough attention to our lady parts.
Mm-hmm.
In the shower, I do my prayer. And I also do breast massage, but we can talk about that a whole nother time.
Okay.
But it's literally just like waking up like, hello, how are you? But we don't pay enough attention to our parts. So sometimes, even steaming, you'd be surprised. I've had some women who they started like tearing while they were steaming because they just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm letting go. Another way to let go. Past relationships, past trauma, realignment with yourself, getting more in tune with yourself. A lot of women use it for those purposes. And at the spa, once you steam, you actually go to the back of Hey Honey Spa and you release the herbs back into the earth. It's a whole ritual. Girl, we'll talk about it. You need to go. But it's a whole ceremony to honor yourself, get reconnected, and whatever was released in the pot, you can go ahead and go back to the earth.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Go back to the earth. Yes. And it just, psychologically, I've heard a lot of women say that they felt lighter after the steam. They really do feel like they let their burdens go. Um, it is. I do it at home for myself. Oh, see, her grandmother steamed the daughters. Yep, after their first child, a lot of cultures definitely do. Yes, and Miss Turnbull's from the Virgin Islands. I remember that. A lot of cultures do it after they have babies. I actually had some steam clients after I was their doula that they actually steamed postpartum as well
Oh wow.
because
Um,
your organs and things, after the baby, things get out of whack. I mean, you had a whole child come out of your vagina, so that's a beautiful thing. But your organs are kind of things in
yeah.
there, and the steam, believe it or not, with the herbs, gets everything back in alignment.
Oh, now the vagina is supposed to be a self-cleaning mechanism, like your
Okay,
vagina.
I love that you said that. So is your
Thank you.
colon, but people still get constipated, don't they?
Yeah.
Right. So again, depending on how you treat yourself and what's going on, you know, um, it is self-cleaning. However, um, Janan, hey Janan, it's self-cleaning, but like everything, you might need a little help, or you might have got a hold of some soap that didn't agree with you very well. And believe it or not, sometimes we are allergic to our partners, or certain times of year, their semen might be more acidic than other times.
What?
And so, depending on your pH balance, because your pH balance may be up or down, and so when you're doing your thing, sometimes there may be something there.
Okay.
On the sting, yes, you absolutely can be, irritated by your partner sometimes.
And that's just not him just being out there loose.
Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna go all the way there, but sometimes, I mean, sometimes, but again, just to be sure that you okay,
Yeah,
that you all right,
that's right.
but yeah, absolutely, but it is self cleaning. But however, sometimes it may need an ultimate flush, just like your colon does. Like your colon is
Right.
supposed to be self cleaning, but people still get constipated.
Yeah, I got you.
Still
Now
happen.
with the uterus being like so delicate, like the lining of our uterus is supposed to be real delicate. So how safe is the steaming with that, because that skin is so thin and stuff? How safe is it for that?
It's very safe. Now, like with anything, I always tell people before you sit, you want to put your hand over. If it's hot, then don't sit on it. Because some people who say that they burnt themselves, I'm thinking to myself, well, if it was that hot, why did you sit down? It
Exactly.
should be warm, but it shouldn't be. I mean, we're not trying to rip off the first layer. That is not the purpose. It should be warm, but not scalding.
Scalding
If it's
hot.
not
Exactly.
comfortable, then don't sit.
So with the okay, you talked about the lavender herbs. Do y'all use like the mugwort
Yeah,
herb?
well, it depends. See, and that's the thing. It just depends on what you're trying to treat. Like if you're just trying to have a lovely experience and like first time steaming, you might want to do some lavender, some rose petals. There are certain herbs though for certain things. For instance, you brought up mugwort. That one is good for missing periods. Like if you haven't had a period in a while and you want it to come back, that's a good one to put in the mix. It would depend on what's going on with your cycle. So when I do consultations, I actually have that I got one of my certifications. I actually have a link that I send you where you like give me basically your history down to what color, because depending on the color, sometimes you might have too much estrogen in your cycle, so you may need special herbs for that, or it might be too light in color. So if it's too light in color, we might need to add something to your herb mix to bring that healthy red. Your cycle should be a nice, pretty red. If you have any brown in your cycle, like at the beginning of your period or the end, that means that your previous cycle had not cleared out all the way. and there's some residual blood that's still trying to pass through. That's what that cramping is. The cramping is part of the self-cleaning, trying to make sure that everything comes out. But even still, sometimes some things still get stuck and they're not flushing all the way through. So that's what that brown is in the beginning or the end of your cycle, is usually the previous one trying to clear out.
Oh, okay. Now that was new. How safe is it for pregnant women? And then talk about like women that's menopause, that's going through menopause.
Okay, so pregnant women, absolutely not, because it opens your cervix. So if you're pregnant, you don't want your cervix to be open. That's why they steam like postpartumly. For menopause, there's definitely some herbs that will help, because sometimes that lubrication, when you hit menopause, things unfortunately in some women dry up. So steaming definitely is a way to get some moisture. You would need like a cooling herb blend to get that going. Mint is a really good one for that, but you need some other things. But you'll need something to kind of get the juices flowing. Oh, Tanya.
Okay.
Okay, Tanya. Glad you hot, sis. All right.
She the one say menopause means men on pause. That's what she
Oh, you wish? Oh, okay. You probably don't even need me. Carry on. Live your best life.
Men on pause. What is it? That's her thing. So another question: should women use vaginal steaming as an alternative to getting seeking medical attention for their vagina?
It depends on what's going on. Like even with fibroids, if you come to me and they're grapefruit size, that's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on where you are with what's going on with you. Some like yeast infections and things absolutely can be treated with steaming. However, you know, it may be a thing where depending on how severe it is, you may have to go to the doctor, get it cleared up, and then for maintenance, you want to use disinfecting herbs to make sure it doesn't come back.
Okay.
That makes sense. It really depends on what's going on. So when I do an intake, I kind of ask, like, what's happening? You know, what's the issue? And then I can determine, like, okay, so for that one, I need you to go to your doctor. But once you get through and it's gone, we can stop it from happening. Oh, let me just say this, just since we're talking about vaginas.
Okay.
I had a client, yes, I had a client who she kept getting infected. She definitely had an infection. And I kept, because it was like, you know, are you having sex with your partner? She's like, no. So I'm like, what is it? What is it? When you use your toys, make sure you disinfect them after use.
Say it again for the sisters in the back.
When you use your toys, make sure you disinfect them after use. Don't throw them in the box and then a month later get them out the box and just go back to business as usual. It turned out she wasn't clean, and it hit me after I talked to her. I was like, are you using toys? She's like, well, you told me not to mess with. I have to do something. No, I'm not saying that, but are you cleaning them? And she like looked. I mean, she looked at me. She said, oh. I was like, disinfect your toys after use, please. Trying to make me doubt what I know to do, because it would clear up, and then all of a sudden she's like, it's back. I'm like, how's it back?
She's not cleaning the toys. She was not cleaning the toys.
Clean after every use. PSA, I'm good now.
Look, we got a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
See what we talking in the chat. What's going on in the chat? This is so much. This is great information. I love it.
Well, I see Ms. Turnbull asks, where can you find the herbs for your steaming? You know, I do an intake. It depends. If you just want herbs for pleasure, I go to Sevananda sells herbs, and also what is it called? It's Unlimited. What's the name of the place? It's on It's up in the North Druid Hills area. It's a big herb shop. Um, Something unlimited. I know where to go. I can't think of the name of it. But it, and sometimes if you look up the herbs, you can come up with your own blends. How do you know if you're fibroids? Is there some onset symptom? Bleeding is the biggest way to know if you have fibroids. If you have just they call it flood bleeding, where it's like literally coming out like a river and you're messing up clothes. That, again, mine were very small, but that's how it was. It was literally like flood bleeding. And if you do that, to be honest, steaming may not be good because it may actually the steam may trigger the flow to go fast again. Oh, so if you have that going on and you're steaming because of fibroids, you may have to do a mild setup, which is something different. It just depends after, again, listening to an intake. But just know that if you experience flood bleeding, then you may not be a good candidate for steaming. I know at Hey Honey Spa, if you have piercings, if you've been waxed within like the last 48 hours, if you're on your cycle, or if you're pregnant, you can get steamed.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, it can help anxiety, definitely. You would need like relaxing herbs to steam with, but it can help with anxiety. I know I sleep better when I steam. I sleep much better. I have a more sound, relaxing sleep after I steam. And I usually, when I'm trying to go to sleep, it's like lavender, pretty stuff, lavender, rose petals, chamomile. Trying to think, what else do I put in there?
So look, after a vaginal steaming, can you go and can you have sex after the steaming, or is there like a wait time? Because I
would try to wait 24 hours.
Okay.
Because you want to kind of let your body absorb the benefits of the steaming before you go to the I call them midnight acrobatics. Yeah. Just to let your body up. Sometimes, though, I'll be honest. The other thing, though, is if you don't have a high sex drive and you steam, you may surprise yourself. You might start jumping on folks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's ideal, but if the mood hits you, hey, but you may end up jumping on folks.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
So be careful. If you need you start feeling good down there, everything's good, everything's gravy. I'm just saying, just be careful now. Yeah. Naima didn't tell me, I'm telling you. Okay? don't try to find me after that now. I'm telling you.
So Tanya wants to know, do you bring your own herbs to the spa?
No. They definitely have herbs. So you kind of tell them at that spa, at Hey Honey, there's definitely like the house blend, then one that's really good for all types of women. I don't want to say women issues. That sounds 1928. But if you have something going on with your cycle, and you can steam with cannabis too.
Really?
They have a cannabis blend.
Wow. You don't put it out there now, Naima.
Well, I'm just saying, it's
the weed smoking for the weed steaming.
But listen, I mean, and it's so funny because I'm like, well, since we do it, I have to try just to see what the clients are, experiencing. I'm a practitioner if I do that. Baby, I felt good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was psychological, but I felt good. I felt silly, and I slept real good.
So you and your vagina, y'all both high.
It's just a good time because again, it's the pores. It's very porous, so you'd be surprised. But yeah, again, talking about self-care, we're isolated. What causes clotting? Clotting is when it's like your cycle isn't able to flow out the right way, so it collects. So sometimes when it collects and finally comes out, it kind of forms a clot. It's your cycle trying, and that's truly what cramping is. When we have those severe cramps, it's the uterus really, it's the clots, and uterus is really trying to do that self-cleaning thing. It's trying to get it out. It's trying to get everything out, but for whatever reason, it's having some challenges. So that cramping in the clots is kind of the aftermath of me trying to self-clean like I know I'm supposed to, but it kind of gets stuck.
Okay. Tanya wants to know, how often should you steam?
You know, honestly, unless you are really working on something, like if you're really working on a yeast infection or something, it may be a couple times a week. But if you're just like doing maintenance, once a week or once every other week is fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I should have took a picture. Is it safe steaming as home? Yeah, I have my little setup in the room. Yes, it's safe to do at home. Again, if you've never done it before, I would advise you to maybe go to a spa. But once you kind of know what's going on, yes, it's very safe to do at home. You just get like a little well, okay. Since I have it, here's a stool. Here's a stool I'm actually going to give to my client.
Okay.
Stool, believe it or not, this will hold up to someone who's 600 pounds. This stool, I put the pot, I put an electric pot underneath it, and she'll wrap up on top to keep the steam in, and it just goes like that. So this is one that I'm actually going to take to a client next week.
Okay, cool.
I forgot that was right back here. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's nice, lightweight, and portable.
You gave us some reasons on why the pregnant women, and if you're on your cycle, not to steam. So should women consult their doctor before steaming, or is it just all natural?
I mean, I'll be honest, you know, unless you really have like an infection or something, they're going to tell you don't do it, because they're going to say the same thing. Your vagina is self-cleaning, and you know, you don't need to do it. But again, a lot of indigenous cultures, women all over the world. I mean, the nice thing, if you go to the Steamy Chick website, they actually have a map, and it shows you where there are ancient records of women steaming.
Yeah.
It's something that we lost, that we're actually trying to regain. Now, some cultures haven't lost it, but a vast majority have. So it's something that people are trying to get back into. And I mean, there's some wonderful stories. That stool was from Amazon, Ms. Turnbull. Sorry, we have I've known Miss Turnbull since 1996. Okay, so if you put in, to be honest, if you put in vaginal stool, you'll be surprised. There's some will come up. I like wood versus plastic just because it's close to our vagina. I just like natural things better. I do cover it with 100% cotton towels, just so there is a barrier. So you're not sitting completely on the stool. So there's a little barrier. But natural fibers, ladies, by your vagina. Natural stuff. I don't like plastic. Some practitioners use plastic. I don't advise it.
Okay. Real quick, because I know we're running out of time.
Hashtag, I don't know about that, Ms. Janan. You're going to talk to me about that. But anyway, I don't know about that.
I don't think it's necessary, Janan.
People gonna do what they're gonna do, but I don't know about that.
Okay, so what are some symptoms that we can look for that will let us know that we're having some vaginal problems?
So
I know the STD stuff. We know about, you guys know about the STD.
Okay, right. So I'm glad you said that, because once a month you should be seeing, if you're still of reproductive age, cervical mucus, which is different than discharge if you had an infection. That is going to be like a sticky, like when you wipe, it should stretch. And it's kind of like a egg white color. Yes, like yolk. Every month, because I'm telling you this because I had some clients who didn't realize that was cervical mucus. They thought that it was a yeast infection.
Okay.
Infections are green, um, yellow in color. That's when there's an infection. But once a month, you will have, if you're of ovulating, years, a whitish substance, and that is actually cervical mucus, and that's the mucus that allows sperm to get to where they need to go. So again, if
Like
you
I'm still ovulating, Naima.
huh?
I think I'm still ovulating.
I'm just saying it though, because for some women, if you see that, first of all, don't have sex for the next 3 to 5 days. If that don't do that unless you're trying to do that. But so you just need to know the difference. If it's yellow or like green, then that's an infection. That's an infection.
So what is a mass or a bulge in the vagina?
A mass or a bulge?
Yeah, like it was like some symptoms you can have a mass or a bulge in the vagina. Okay, I don't know what that was, but I read it, and I know I've heard guys talk about women with loose lips.
Ah!
And I'm just getting it to you. I'm getting it
I
to
hear
you.
you. I mean, so along with that, that's just funny. So my son is 21. He knows what I talk about, but he has a little friend over, so he's probably like, I ain't coming to this house no more.
Yeah.
But women. So women tend to like, because and let me say this too. Stop comparing yourself to the porn that these men are watching.
Okay. Okay.
Those women are paid a whole lot of dollars for their stuff to look a certain way, because they're on film and they have the money. They're going to invest to do certain things to their genitalia that normal, regular women are not doing.
Exactly.
So, if you look at that and you look at yourself, you might be like, well, dang, no.
Yeah.
A lot of women's lips are loose. A lot of them hang lower. Okay? A lot of them do. Some of it is age, some of it is just how you're made. But it's okay. Like, that's a real woman.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
Now, I'm spreading for millions of dollars. I may get a trim because you really looking at my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a
dude.
And
that's real. That's
right.
real.
So just and if your men are really like, to be honest, like I know men who, like, I love lashes, but I've had some guys be like, well, I am not worried about your lashes. Okay. That's the last thing I'm thinking about. So they're that concerned about certain things. Either they're watching too much porn or they're not the one for you.
Exactly. They're not the one for you.
Right.
Exactly.
And so, women get self-conscious. Now, if you personally feel loose or if you don't feel right is one thing, but if someone's telling you, that's something different.
Gotcha.
So again, and that is why, again, knowing yourself, knowing what feels good to you, knowing what you need, and being able to say it. I was telling that little young boy was doing somersaults on my back. I was like, how are you right here? What are you doing? I need to recognize what's happening.
Exactly.
We're going to continue this now. You can introduce me to some new stuff, but I need to have a basic idea of what we're doing. What we're doing.
Exactly.
You got to be able to say that.
You have to be able to say that.
You got to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Yes, vaginal steaming does help with lubrication.
Oh, okay. Good. Last question, because look, we out of time. I got
are you serious? Okay. I didn't realize it was 9 o'clock. Okay.
It is 9 o'clock. But another thing that I found out, ladies, is that your uterus can protrude through your vagina, and it has to be put back in through the doctor.
It can. Usually, not all the time, but usually it's through childbirth will do that. Childbirth will shift things, and that's usually, not all the time, but that's usually when that will happen. But steaming, believe it or not, can help with that.
Okay. Naima, this has been so informative and fun and educational. I love it. Thank you so much, girl.
You're welcome. In my former and current Shelter in Arms family, I still love y'all to death.
Yeah, we love you too. Look, they let you know they love you too. In old age time, you're absolutely right because it did happen to an older woman.
Mm.
My friend that's a nurse, he was telling me about it. I was like, that's so disgusting. That can't happen. He said, yes, it can. He said your uterus can literally protrude through your. But he said she was an older lady, and it.
Okay, older. That was the other one. You're right. After childbirth and older. Yes, absolutely.
So you guys, thank you again. Throw your L's up. Naima, you are awesome, queen. I love you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much.
You guys stay tuned next week. We getting ready to go. We getting ready to come. You still at Honey Spa?
Not right now. No, I'm not. I had another opportunity come. But that's okay. We can talk about it. You still should go. You still should go. I might be able to sing with you now. See?
Yes, we're gonna put something together, but we'll talk.
Okay.
Me, you, Tanya, Miss Turnbull, Rucker, we'll talk. Adrian, we'll get together and talk about doing a vaginal spa day. You guys, y'all, you keep living your best life. Hey, Stacky, what's going on, Miss Diane and Kendra? Thank you guys for tuning in. Same time next week. See, I don't even know what's going on next week. Duck won't even tell me. I don't even know. So y'all just gotta stay tuned and see what's going on. Continue to live your best life, guys. Have an awesome night.
Thank you.